Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Mark, a trainer here at WEX Field Service Management, and today we are covering schedule and dispatch basics. This webinar will cover the schedule page, schedule settings, how to schedule an appointment, how to use the work queue, appointment status updates and visuals, callbacks and follow-ups, how to update, cancel, and reschedule appointments, and calendar view options to personalize your setup. We'll do a live Q&A at the end where you'll be able to get your questions answered live on stream. And without further ado, let's dive into WEX FSM. When you first log into your system, you will be brought to the schedule page. That's kind of like the home page for WEX FSM. Now, when you are on here, one of the first things you're going to want to know how to do is search for a customer. You're scheduling, maybe you're working in the office, customer calls you, and there's a couple different options. Maybe the customer is calling and you just want to look at their customer profile before you start scheduling. To do that, you will use the search bar in the top right. We're just going to type our customer name. So let's say Justin Hernandez. Once you start typing their name, if they are in your system, they will show up here and you can click on their name and that will bring you to their customer page. And then from here, you can see their job history. So these are jobs on the right side. And maybe you're coming here to take a look at, things you've done previous with them, any notes that you may have before actually jumping in and scheduling. But for searching for customers, that is the main search that you'll use. And you can search by name, address, and phone number. Let's go back to the schedule page. And now let's take a look at this drop down here. So I'm looking at my dispatch board. We can see I have a calendar here. There's an appointment on the board here for my technician, Caleb. And if you notice, this drop down right here says dispatch group. You can group your users to see them in different groups. So maybe you want to have a group for all of your users. That way you can see your entire team at a glance. But that might be too much to look at one time. Maybe you have a repair side of the business and an install side of the business. It's up to you how you want to group these, but I made one for my field technicians. So everyone who's working out in the field. I made one for my office crew. Maybe this is showing if people are on sick leave or out for the day, things like that. Maybe you have meetings and you can view those here. And so the dispatch groups drop down is here, but you will need to set up your dispatch groups, which we will do in just a little bit. So now we can see that we have our schedule. But in order for you to have users on the schedule, you need to add those users first. So right here, I've got my field techs dispatch group. I can see Dustin, Caleb, Bruce, like all of these users here. You need to add those first. To add a user, you will go to Settings, User Management, Users. Settings, User Management, Users. When you go to the users page, this will show all of your users in your system, and anyone that you have set here will have access to logging in and using the system. Now, you do have the option to turn off users from here. So if maybe there's someone who's seasonal, they come in and work 3 months out of the year, you can turn them on and off here. If I turn a user off, that means that they will no longer have access to log into the system, and they won't be able to see their schedule. And so just know that if you add a user, they will take up a seat for your subscription. They will have access to log in, and they'll be able to, if they're out in the field, use the mobile app to see their schedule and run jobs. If you turn them off, they will no longer have access to do that, and they will be removed from the seat. So to add a user, click the green button in the top right, Add User. Fill out the information here, set their permissions, and then save at the bottom. Now, I already have a user set up, so let's use them as an example. Dustin Bailey here is a field technician, so I will click on Dustin. And most of this is self-explanatory, but I'm just going to give you a few tips as it relates to scheduling when you're setting up your users. First thing, you have to set up an email address and a password. And that is what you'll give to this user so they can log in and see their schedule. Down below, assign user to dispatch group. So as long as you have your dispatch groups set up, when you're adding the user, you are able to assign them to a group. Very important to know, if a user is not assigned to a dispatch group, they will not show up on the schedule page. So I have had some, new WEX FSM customers come in, they add all their users, they go to the schedule page and nobody's there. That is because you do have to assign them to a group to see them on that on the dispatch board. And you can add them very easily from here. You just click in and select which group you want to put them in. Now, if you don't have any groups set up, you won't see those here. So part of making sure that you're in a good place with this process, I would recommend setting up your dispatch groups, which we will do next. Permissions. So there are 3 account types. Admin is going to give full access to everything in the system. Admin users are able to see the desktop version and the mobile version, both for WEX FSM. And then we have Office. And Office is usually best for anyone who you want to have full access to everything except for certain visibility on, different data points. So with admin, you're probably setting an admin and they have full access to the system. That's great. For Office, maybe you have someone who's only going to do scheduling. So you do not want them to see the revenue in your system, and you can turn that off. There's reporting tab visibility. If I click yes on that, now we can go in and start hiding certain reports. And then for field users, those are who's working out in the field. So they only have access to the mobile version of WEX FSM. So field users, they can use the mobile app, but if they try to log into the desktop on the browser, they won't be able to get in. But that's probably a good thing. Usually field users, you're just wanting them to run jobs out in the field, and the mobile app is set up for them to do everything they need to do to run a job. My pro tip on this is if you have someone who primarily works out in the field, like you would consider them a field user, but they need admin access. They need to be able to log in and make changes to the price book and settings and more applications. I would set them as an admin, even though technically they are a field user, just so they have the ability to log in, see everyone else's schedule, and be able to make changes and updates as needed. And you can log into the desktop version of WEX FSM from the mobile device using the browser. All right. And so that is setting up your users and a little bit about permissions. And then right here, you can hit save. That will save them to the dispatch groups that you assign them to. And then you will see them on the schedule page. Also, once you add a user and you start scheduling for them, they will be able to see those appointments, let's say out in the field from the mobile app. Now, we just talked a lot about dispatch groups. Let's go ahead and show how to set up your dispatch groups. To do this, we're going to go to Settings, User Management, Dispatch Groups. This is the dispatch group admin page. This is where you can add a dispatch group by clicking the button in the top right here. That will allow you to name your group, select who you want to be in that group, and then hit save at the bottom. That will then save the group here. It will show you who is in the group. The names here, the list that this is in will be in alphabetical order. I personally just added numbers in the title so I could have this in a specific order, but that's up to you if you want to do that. Normally, they're just in alphabetical order. If you want to edit a dispatch group, click the three dots here. You can edit the group or delete the group, so you have a lot of control here. And then when you are done and you go back to the schedule page, you'll be able to now select those groups from the dispatch group dropdown here. Now, I would recommend also setting up your job types. So let's go to our job types page and then we'll talk about it. To get to your job types admin page, we will go to Settings, Jobs, Job Types. That's Settings, Jobs, Job Types. Now, what are job types? Job types are a great way to categorize your jobs in your system for reporting purposes. When you are creating an appointment, so if I go to the schedule page and I hit new and I start creating an appointment, it is required that you select a job type. And that is essentially going to say, this appointment is for an install. And when the job is created, that job will be marked as an install. Maybe you're doing a maintenance call. You mark it as maintenance. You're doing a no AC call. Mark it as no AC. And as you're creating these appointments and you are deciding which job types they are, 6 months from now, I can go into my reporting and say, I want to see all of my installs that I did for the last 3 months. You're able to look at data like that because you can filter by job type and you would set up your job types from here. To set up a job type, you will click New Job Type in the top right. Name the job type. Now, what you're naming this, just think like, what job is this? Is it a no AC, no heat, pull and reset toilet, roof replacement? You can get as detailed here as you want. And then you can also set the default duration for this, which does save you time when scheduling. If I'm scheduling a 3-system install, that may take more time than a filter replacement. So if I know that this type of job is going to take 4 hours, you can set that default duration. Then when I select the job type when I'm scheduling, it'll just auto-populate that as a 4-hour job, saving you a little time. Once you have your job type set up, you'll see them here. But then when we're scheduling, like we're about to schedule an appointment together, you're going to see where that falls into place. Okay. And so in terms of just getting things set up so scheduling is nice and smooth, add your users, set up your dispatch groups, and set up your job types. Those are kind of the three main things to set up, and then you're ready to start scheduling, which is what we're going to do now. Let's go back to the schedule page. I'm going to go ahead and look at my field techs dispatch group. And how do you schedule an appointment? The very first thing is to know you can click new. There's a big red button here. You can either choose new to make a new appointment from scratch, but a little tip for you, you can also just click on the time slot, the technician, and it will auto-populate that information for you. And so just to show you here, if I click new, it allows me to start creating an appointment, but no data is going to be added. If I say, I want to send Dustin Bailey out on a job at 1 p.m., I just click on the 1 p.m. slot for Dustin, and it'll look the same now. You start making the appointment, but once we get in, you'll see that that info, the date, the time, and the technician have already been selected. So let's do that option. Let's say we're going to send Dustin out at 1. So we will click on that box. Now from here, we want to schedule an appointment with a customer. Maybe they have called us, maybe we called them, maybe I'm looking at some messaging, but either way, we need to create an appointment for them. And the first thing you'll do is look for them by searching. So we will type my customer, Justin. If they're in your system, you'll see them here. If they're not in your system, that's okay. Maybe it's a brand new customer. They just heard about you from a friend in their neighborhood, and you need to add them as a new customer. To do this, click the red plus button here, and this will allow you to add the customer. They will be saved in your customer list, and then it will continue forward for you to create the appointment. But we already have Justin in our system, so we're going to select him here. The first thing you'll notice at the top is we have the customer name, which if you want to edit customer details, you can click the little edit icon here. And now, without having to go to their customer page and make edits from over there, I can make edits to the customer profile right from here when I'm scheduling. And then you can go back to the appointment. So, maybe you're making the appointment and the customer's like, "Oh, hey, by the way, I changed my email. Can we get that updated?" Yep, no problem. You just edit and update their email and hit save. You can also see their balance. So, hopefully everyone's paying you on time, but we all know that sometimes doesn't happen. So if you have someone who owes you money, you can see their balance here, and maybe that's something you want to bring up before you schedule another visit for them. Job location, this is going to be the address that you're going to go out and do the service for. This is what your field technician will see when they're out in the field. Oh, this is the address that I need to go to. They can even get GPS directions directly to the address selected here. If you need to select a different address, some customers will have multiple properties, or maybe you are doing some commercial work for an apartment complex and they have hundreds of, different apartments that you need to service. You will see those here as a dropdown. You can search, and whatever you select here is what this appointment and the job will connect to. If you need to edit an address, same as the name here, you can click the edit icon and you can add an address or update any of their current addresses here. Job, this part's very important. This is how you are going to organize your appointments into the correct job folder. If this is a new job, even if I've done work for Justin before, this is saying this is a new issue. This is a new, service, a new install, something new. You leave it as new job. When I hit schedule, it will create a brand new job and put this appointment in that job. And everything we do for that job moving forward will save in that new job that was created. If this is a callback, let's say this is a second visit, we've already been there before, we needed to order a part, the part has come in, now it's time to go back. You can select the drop down here and just make sure that you pick the previous job that this follow-up appointment relates to. And then when you hit schedule, it will save this appointment in that previous job. That's how you keep your jobs organized. For today's example, we're going to use new job. Job name, highly recommend using this. This is just a reminder for you in the future when you're looking, back at the jobs, or if you're going to reference this in the moment. It's kind of like a nickname for what the job will be. Maybe this is no AC call, no heat, things like that. We have already talked about job types, so this is where that comes into play. If this is a no AC call, for example, for those in the HVAC industry, we may want to say that this is a service. And we may do many different types of services, but when I look at my reporting, I'll be able to pull by service. If this was an install, maybe I would want to change this job type to install. So when I pull and filter by installs, this job will show up. But we're going to select service because that is what our no AC call today will be. And now we want to schedule. Since I clicked on the calendar, now here's where that comes into play. Appointment date, time, and technician are already pre-populated, so that does save us a little time here. Now, if I want to look at, well, let's finish this out and then we'll go back and we'll make a service request. So we want to put a appointment on the board and we are going to, my lights shut off in here automatically. Okay, there we go. Let's go to adding a note. So we have our date, we have our time, we have our technician. If you do want to add additional technicians, maybe a helper, you can select them here. And then we will add a note. This is usually you're talking to the customer. Maybe they're giving you a gate code. Maybe they have cats, don't let the cats out. This is any filter sizes, whatever you need for the technician to be informed about how to do the job. Put that here. This is an internal note. Your customer will not see this. This is just communication between you and whoever is going to run that job out in the field. And then we have appointment notifications and reminders. Your system will send out notifications. If scheduled is selected, when I hit schedule, it's going to send an appointment confirmation message out to the customer, letting them know this has been scheduled. You can set 1 week and 1 day prior reminders. And then en route, if this is on, this will allow your technician to send an on my way message to the customer, which is always nice. I know someone's coming out here today, but I haven't really gotten anything. If your customer is receiving that message that they're on the way, it just builds customer confidence. And then you can select who you want to send this out to. You can select between text and email, and you can also add recipients if you need to send it to someone else. All right, so this is looking good. We have our customer, we know where we're going, we're creating a new job, we have our job type, date, time, technician, a note to help out the tech when they get there, our reminders, and our contacts. Click schedule, and it will then create the job, put this appointment in that job. And now we see that appointment on the schedule page. If you hover over the appointment, it will give you a summary of what the appointment is. And we can see here that job 14114 has been created for this no AC call. All right. Uh, and so that is an example of just creating a standard appointment. We got an appointment on the board, and now Dustin here out in the field will be able to see this on his schedule and go and do the job. Now let's talk about the work queue. So that was, I know the date, I know the time, I know the technician, we have every piece of information, and we're ready to schedule. That's what the dispatch board is for. The work queue are for any appointments that don't have quite enough information yet to go on the dispatch board. If you click on Show All, that will show you all work queue items, which will include service requests, unassigned appointment, and self-scheduling appointments. Service requests mean that you are not really sure. There's a lot of information missing. So a service request, an example of that is maybe someone calls you and they know that they want a service in the future, but they're going to go on vacation, and when they come back, you'll do the service then. But you're on the phone with them now. So I want to document all of this and just get it saved. And then when it's time to schedule, I can just drag it onto the schedule page. So that's one scenario. There's many scenarios for work queue items, but a service request means that you're not sure the date, the time, or the technician. You just want to get it saved with some details, and you'll schedule that later. Unassigned means I do know the date and the time. I'm just not sure which technician is going to go out and do the job. Maybe that is someone calls, they have an emergency, and you let them know we will absolutely have someone out for you today, but I'm not sure which one of my guys are going to run it. So, we'll keep you posted. In that scenario, I know the date. I know the time, maybe it's like we're going to have someone out there by 4 p.m. today, but I'm not sure which technician. So to create a work queue item, let's do a service request first. It's exactly the same way as creating a normal appointment. For this example, let's just click new to create a new appointment. Let's select our customer, Emily Davis. And for this, I'm talking to Emily. It's like, we're going to just jot down some info. I know eventually when we go out there, it's going to be a 1 hour service. And, uh, maybe we're putting the gate code for her and any other important info here. And then you can preset your appointment notifications and hit save. This will now be saved as a service request. And then we can see that from here. So here's our service request. It's now time for me to go ahead and send someone out to Emily to do this service. You simply click and drag it over. Let's say Bruce is going to go there at 3 and just let go. And now that has been scheduled. And same thing for unassigned. It's same way. We're going to click new to create a new appointment. Let's use our customer, Mary Smith. And for unassigned, I know the date, I know the time, but I'm not sure the technician. So I'm going to select assign later. And then when I hit schedule, that will now save as a unassigned appointment. And if we go to the unassigned appointments tab, we can see here, these are ready to go. Like I know that this needs to go the 19th at 11 a.m. and I'll just drag that over and let go to schedule. All right. So that is using the work queue. And now let's talk about appointment status updates and visuals. So if you're the person who's in charge of scheduling, it's always good to know what's going on out in the field. And the schedule page is a great way to see what stage of each job your technicians are in. Let's use this as an example right here. So if you schedule the appointment, it will just look like the appointment here. The color you see is represented uh, from the job type. So maybe you set your installs as green and your service calls as red and your maintenance calls as purple. If you're looking at the board, I can see, oh, we just got a lot of service calls today. Everything's red. But if you see a purple one, it's like, oh, okay, this guy's doing a maintenance, this guy's doing an install, and that's color coded. Once Dustin here, let's say Dustin, my field tech, is out in the field, he starts on his way to this job. I'm going to hover over this and go to the job just to simulate what Dustin would be doing in the field. So Dustin, he's ready to go. He's sitting in the truck and he is going to click on my way. That you'll see moving dotted lines when this happens. So Dustin's out in the field. He's updating on the go. And I will know that he's on the way to the job from these dotted lines moving. When he gets there, he will be able to update on the mobile app that he's at the job doing the work. Those dotted lines will stop moving, and it is just a dotted outline. That means he's at the job doing the work. And when he is complete, he'll mark the appointment as complete, and then you will see that turn gray. So in theory, as this moves throughout the day, you'll be able to see all of these appointments turn gray, and that means all appointments were completed. If you're at the end of the day and you notice one is not gray, maybe you want to look into that. Did we miss the appointment or did someone just forget to clock in or clock out? Uh, if that happens, let's see if we can mock this up here. So we're going to say that they missed this appointment. If you notice, it's kind of grayed out a little bit, or it's just the opacity is lower here. And what that means, like this one we can see is full color. This one's a little faded. That just means that this was a missed appointment, meaning that the field technician did not clock any time on it. So it is easy to tell if something has been missed. If it seems like there's an issue here, you can hover over the appointment, go to the job, and if we look, yep, this was supposed to happen between 9 and 10 a.m., and it just looks like Caleb did not clock in. And so if you want to update this, let's say I call Caleb, hey, did you do this job in the morning? Oh, yeah, my bad. I forgot to clock out. I'll do better next time. No problem, Caleb. What time did you get there? You just click on the red text here, and now you can update. He's like, I got there actually a little early. I got there at 8:45 and I left around 10:15. So you can come in here, update what that is. Maybe, let's just mock this up. Let's say 8:45, he started driving there to 9, and that was en route. Save. And then he got there at 9 and stayed till 10:15. And that's when he was at the job and save. I've made my updates to the entries here, And now if we look, that has been updated. And then you can change the status to complete because they just told you they completed the job. Now I've updated this. That will update on the schedule page and we're good to go. Let's go back to the schedule page. And there we go. Now, if it's gray, you'll still see the color of the job type on the outside here. So this border is red because it's a service call, and red is the service job type. All right. So we have three more topics to cover before we get into our Q&A. The next topic is flag for follow-up. So when you are scheduling, there will be times where you can't complete the appointment or let's say you can't complete the job. And so you would need to order a part or there's some type of follow-up that is happening. Let's hover over our appointment here and we're going to go into this no AC job. Every job has a flag for follow-up button that's available on the mobile app as well. And flag for follow-up is a great way to stay organized on any follow-up appointments that you may need to do. Whether your technician is selecting this or you're selecting it from the field, if there is a follow-up that needs to happen, click flag for follow-up from the job page. This will allow you to say what type of follow-up this is. Let's say we needed to order a part. This will allow you to select an assignee if you want to assign this to someone or a due date. And now we're just putting in what needs to happen. Ordered part will be here tomorrow and save. That will now flag this job in your system. You are able to see this if we go back to the schedule page and hit a quick refresh. Any jobs that are flagged, you will be able to see there's a flag here from the appointment, the dispatch board. And your technician will see that as well if there's a flag on a job. Let's say that our tech goes out, finishes installing the new part that came in, and we're ready to turn the flag off. Again, you can do that from the mobile or the desktop, but you just click on the flag here and you can remove the flag or mark as complete and hit save. I'm just checking my notes here, make sure I covered everything for that. Oh, yes. So let's add a flag back to this. So rewinding a little bit, I need to order a part. Here's just a pro tip for using the flag feature. I need to order a part, get this ordered, whatever the note is, and save. Oh, is it upset? Hold on. Let's refresh. So that's good. Let's add a flag. Oh, good, good. Note here. So I just made a flag, but I want to create a service request for the follow-up appointment now so I don't forget. A way you can do this is just so I know that I just ordered the part. It'll be here Friday, but I'm not sure. Sometimes it's late. So we're just going to make a service request from the job page. You can click New under Appointments and Service Requests. And each job, you can have as many appointments or service requests as you need for this job. And so we're just saying, maybe you're writing here, part ordered will be here Friday. And then we want to select service request. And now when we hit save, we already have a draft appointment that's ready to go when it's time to schedule. That just saves as a service request here. You will be able to see that on the schedule page. And then when it's time to schedule, you can either from the schedule page drag and drop, or you can come to the job here and click the edit icon. And now schedule the appointment, the follow-up appointment. You do not have to do that, but that is a process that some of my customers use. They like to just get the service request made when you create the flag. All right. Next, how to update, cancel, and reschedule. So let's go back to our schedule page here. Um, we made this appointment for Emily Davis at 3 p.m., but she just called and said, I can't do it today. Can you guys come out tomorrow? Click on the appointment itself, and that will allow you to edit the appointment details. And now you just make the changes you need. Let's change this to going out there tomorrow, same time, and hit save. That will move it to the next day. So we set it to tomorrow, and there it is. Maybe she's not sure, like, hey, I've had a family emergency. I'll let you know when you guys can come out. Now we need to actually reschedule. So we're going to click on the appointment to edit our appointment details. And you can go here to cancel, unschedule. Click that. Unschedule means we are going to pull it off of the dispatch board and put it into the work queue to be scheduled later. Cancel means that we have no plan to schedule this in the future. We're actually just going to cancel it completely, but it will show a historical record of this on their customer page. Delete is maybe I made this an error or I accidentally made two of the same appointments. I wasn't thinking, whatever it is, you can select delete and it will erase it completely from the system with no historical record. So those are our rescheduling and cancellation options there. And then the last thing we're going to go over is just how to set up some visual preferences to make this schedule page look and feel how you want it to feel. So we have some calendar view options, and we're just going to start on the left and work our way across. Calendar view is what we're looking at right now. We can see the calendar, we can see the work queue. List view, which is the next little tab over, is just going to show you any appointments that you have for the day in a list view. If you're not running a ton of appointments, maybe you won't need the list view, but if you have hundreds of appointments that you're running and you do a ton of commercial work, this does come in handy because you can see more appointments at one time. The map will show you the map of your area. So it will, I'm here in Charlotte, North Carolina, so this is my area. And then it will show you appointments and service requests. If you click on these, it just gives you a little summary of what those appointments are. And I can see my technicians at a glance. So as you watch this, this will update as long as the location services are enabled on their device, and you'll be able to see where they are. And so if I kind of scroll in here, if I click on the user, there's Bruce, and I can see here's Bruce. Here is the intended path that he is going to drive to go to this appointment. And as he's driving, it will then make a red dotted line to show where he's actually driving. So, may not always happen, but if you notice that he drove way over here, what was that pit stop for? And just, you're able to cross-reference that. Now let's go we'll click back to calendar. The legend, if I click legend, will allow you to see just some helpful tips on what different icons mean. You have a horizontal and vertical view. Right now we're in the horizontal view, which will allow you to kind of reorganize your technicians. And then we have a vertical view, which some people prefer. This has the time going down the page rather than across the page. Uh, and it just looks a little more like I guess a Google Calendar to calendar you may be used to using. 30 and 60, you can toggle to make the actual time slots 30-minute time slots or 60-minute time slots. And then you are able to view daily, which is what we're looking at now. You can see one day at a time. Weekly, which will show you your entire week at a glance. And then monthly, you can see the entire calendar month. And you can click, view more to see everything. I want to see this. You can hover over it and it shows you a summary, and then you can click into it or go to the job. If you are noticing that this is a little too scrunched up, you'd like to see your calendar much bigger, we can use the hide button here to hide the work queue and the expand button here to put this in full screen. And you can see there's many different options. So make this look however you want and get it nice and customized for your preference. Me personally, I do like the horizontal view here and the 30 minutes. Okay. Last thing I'll show you is the user info. These users here, you can actually click on their name and it will give you details just directly about this user. We can see, uh, so Dustin is here. This is where the planned route for this job is. And then same thing as earlier. Once he starts driving, you can see the actual route as well. Okay, that is all the information we have for today's presentation. I hope that you learned something. We're going to jump into our Q&A now, but I just want to say thank you so much for joining. My name is Mark with WEX Field Service Management, and this has been Schedule and Dispatch Basics.